Hi, welcome. I'm Haynel Rose from ER Technologies, and we are a NetSuite Solutions partner here in Irvine. This is our webinar series on smart manufacturing, and today I want to discuss the 5 key areas in smart manufacturing that can significantly increase your revenue. This process is to create a blueprint that will give a pragmatic approach that will drive and optimize the EBITDA of your financials and increase and expand your margin at a world-class level. Many manufacturers are stuck with outdated systems and don't have a strategy for modernizing their processes. As ERP customers, they should always think about not only the costs and depths and capability of their software choices, but the fact that there are certain key areas when it comes to EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, becomes a good measure of the core profitability for a manufacturing business. Manufacturing companies can reduce inventory, associated carrying costs with reduced cost of goods sold, and increase EBITDA. The best of manufacturing companies use a SaaS cloud ERP built in with closed loop quality to bring new, higher quality products to market by reducing inventory and waste. That increases EBITDA. What you want to achieve are the benefits driven by a comprehensive ERP so that the number of vendors you work with, you want to be able to understand based on your budget. And because you can drive with a comprehensive ERP, you can deliver world-class solutions that drives the solutions and components and levers that controls EBITDA. Now, at the end of this discussion, I'm going to tell you about a profit clinic that I have coming up next month, where I will give you detailed insight into these components. And I would like you to sign up for this profit clinic because it's an intensive class that goes through all the elements of providing of delivering EBITDA for your specific use case. At the end of the day, it's all about unlocking the potential required to be a future-ready manufacturer. The goal, achieve double your revenue in 12 months, and also to increase your efficiency and velocity by at least 10% and reduce cost and spend ratio by over 50%. Now, let's get into it. So, with this in mind, who am I and how do I bring this information to you? I have an MBA and I'm the Chief CEO, Chief Consultant of ER Technologies for the last 20 years. I've spent time in the trenches of management and manufacturing, doing concepts like these with companies like GE and Intel and a lot more bigger companies. I remember cutting my teeth as a young intern at General Electric, where I was thrown into the printed circuit board manufacturing assembly area to overhaul and turn around a situation that required them to provide products for an entire division that was under a quality issue problem. I cut my teeth there in that case, and I went on to other companies such as Intel, where I learned other factors about the number of the number of how you build factors into your chip size and all that to be able to put these skills together to bring you my concepts on what I think we can deliver in manufacturing. Now, EBITDA, as I pointed out earlier, the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation is a key area to drive components of your manufacturing. It's apples to apples basis. Okay, so it's a component that we can dive into and develop the roadmap for you to become the future manufacturer with solid outcome results based on your spend, based on your revenue, based on your efficiency, and so forth. And it applies to all manufacturing companies. And that's where I'm leveraging my expertise to bring you specific components of how you can drive your operation to levels of outcome to be a future-ready manufacturer with the aid of technology going forward. Now, the goal at the end of the day is to unlock rapid growth strategies for manufacturers. We specialize with manufacturers because certain things present certain challenges, and things like costs, inefficiencies, demand volatility are highly important to the agility and digitization, operational excellence, and therefore the outcome. We will follow a roadmap of growth. It's divided into certain segments, and we'll talk about this. But this is the approach we will use for the profit clinic. But nevertheless, it's an approach that's been time tested and used in our process with many of our clients. We identify the gaps, we implement the solutions, we optimize and scale. And this is how we do it. Now, with digital transformation, best of the manufacturing companies operate with certain components, especially, and I may touch on one right here called sales and operation planning, which is a key process that overall plans your production and manufacturing process. And it's always an agreeable component based on what stakeholders can see, operate, do, and execute. It's clear, and we bring that as part of a key component to drive behind the smart manufacturing concepts. Now, for your smart supply chain management, we want to be able to categorize key components such as your inventory based on costs that impacts your production. Portions of your finished goods inventory move faster than others and also have varying cost impacts. You want to leverage automated systems to be able to manage this inventory based on inventory classification, how you stratify based on gross margin returns. Your inventory investment is very important. For example, if you have fast-moving, low-cost inventory, these should have a huge priority when compared to slower-moving, expensive inventory, because understanding how inventory is used and its associated costs requires a different inventory management approach. Manufacturers must make sure that they have larger safety stocks. And these are just some examples, because concurrently, slower moving items call for less scrutiny against stockouts. So you have components like inventory management using ABC analysis strategies, and so on and so forth. Now, another key point is how to focus on quality and time to market, because balancing quality, cost, price is an art and requires data analysis that execute properly. Based on our industry research, some of the most successful companies and manufacturers have been using things like Six Sigma for years, achieving benefits. And these bottom line cost savings, 5 to 20% per annum, improve quality product or service as perceived by customers, both internally and externally, are component drivers and levers that are considered rolled up as part of the EBITDA process. It comes back to basic reduction in process cycle time, development of your staff skills and how you use these things, use of a common language throughout the organization to meet your world-class quality standards that drives your ROI and your sales growth. Now, one key area we must address is the cost of poor quality, because often it's the least understood metric, as it's comprised of much more than just warranty claims, rework and scrap, and so forth. Most companies fail to understand the financial impact of the cost of poor quality, and it spans over internal costs such as downtime, external costs like billing adjustments, expediting shipping, replacing defective products, and so on and so forth. So prevention costs like quality improvement project costs associated with non-conformance and quality re-engineering are all impactful candidates that must be considered as part of the EBITDA equation. To put this in perspective, when you have, let's say, $1 million manufacturing operation, first pass quality yield is generally 94%, which is typical for about 15% of the cost of goods sold on poor quality. By improving first pass quality, you yield almost 99%, and the percentage will increase to adjust about 6% of COGS, saving you about $3 million in COGS. This impacts the EBITDA. So you know where we're coming from. Cost of poor quality, manufacturing companies should focus on all aspects of quality. However, quality cannot be an afterthought, and its implementation must be a strategic initiative at every step of the manufacturing process. You need to invest in the manufacturing operations and execution systems where quality is intertwined with their production and extended supply chain. So as we go forward, from an internal perspective, performing quality tested throughout the production process will address activities where things like CapEx for your supply chain processes are maintained. This means scheduling downtime, relocating production as needed to meet your demand. You may have downtime issues, and you have to coordinate all aspects of downtime. Interesting, because you cannot plan downtime. It usually happens. But nevertheless, there's a factor for it, and it must be handled. On the external side, best-in-class companies are requiring their suppliers to guarantee certain things. And this is another aspect of the operations that must be dealt with, because well-defined quality standards must be met, and failure on the part of a supplier to meet these quality requirements typically result in penalties, charges, non-conformance. So you can see where I'm going with this. On all these relevant components that are levers to point to EBITDA impact. The adoption of standardized supplier performance management process and scorecard is a key way to manage this. So as you go forward, let's dive into this a little bit more, because optimizing EBITDA and creates a competitive advantage. While there are many ways to optimize EBITDA performance, and that's why it's unique to your own operation, and why we address this in the Profit Clinic based on your specific need, performance and adapting according to your and streamlining your process and operation, focus on quality are all powerful strategies that create competitive advantage. The key to success is to be able to capture the necessary data and analyze it to make timely decisions. So, what happens with all this when things come together? It's about automating for efficiency. Smart automation. Task manufacturers must do to free up their employees. You want to have accelerated worker productivity, new working practices. Low value tasks must be freed up so employees can focus on higher value tasks. You want to drive a collective practices in your supply chain. So your supplier leadership must be repetitive. Low value tasks must be freed up so high value tasks can be attacked. Your ecosystem, the partnership, your interconnected system all drive innovation, sustainability, and resiliency through your ecosystem. So it's about the digital manufacturing process, the cog, the wheel of an operation, the stages, the scaling of the ERP applications, the integration. We're talking about ERP, SCM, PLM, MES, EAM, and these are all acronyms for the tools of a comprehensive system. Okay. Some of you have it, some of you don't. Some of you need to step up, and some of you need to retool. And it's all about the integrated components of the system that build an advanced analytics and business intelligence. We have artificial intelligence coming up and AI. How will that impact your operations in your business today? The shop floor, the intelligent systems, the production, and there's things about you call edge applications. All these are impacted and must be part of your business process improvement. The change management. What you did yesterday may not be relevant going forward tomorrow. You need to change your process. SCADA and regulatory compliance are all key areas that must be leveraged. You can do this by technologies. It has an impact on your CapEx and your OpEx choices. So predictive analytics, big data, and more are all components of the digital manufacturing cog. Now, the specific target of the process that we are talking about, EBITDA optimization. It's a closed loop quality management process. And as a manufacturer, compliance with standards and many regulations are required. But there are many dependencies in your industry. While you need to show that you comply with these regulations, your customers ensure the highest quality levels at the lowest cost. At the same time, rapid commoditization drives down prices that cut into your EBITDA. The good news is that you must have a comprehensive ERP, and many of you are already on the way to this. Some are not, and some need to develop. Some need to take advantage of what they're not using. You may have shelfware, features, and functions in your ERP that you're not using. Are they components? Are they pulling the levers that you need? That's what we get into when we talk about building the blueprint to drive your future-ready manufacturing through EBITDA and smart manufacturing. It's a closed-loop management process of a system that gives you the agility and ability to bring unique and differentiated products to market, all at the same time reducing waste, scrap, recalls, return, lowering costs, and achieving competitive differentiation, having high compliance, and increased profitability. So by relying on a combination of modern technology, adopting new streamlined manufacturing operations, and a relentless focus on qualities, you can tackle external industry challenges and directly influence your business performance. So let's get to it. This masterclass is about how to optimize the EBITDA. I won't get into the details of it. However, but will cover the main key areas because that's what we're talking about. 5 keys to EBITDA optimization through a closed loop quality management process. We're going to assess your operation. You need to perform a self-assessment of your current process. What is your business strategy? You need to understand what your business strategy is. Are you a cost leader? Are you a quality leader? Are you a customer service leader? Then we take you into your EBITDA levers. What are the levers that pulling the key areas of your business operation that are strategic along the lines that drives your EBITDA? You want to look at these 5 top-down drivers. Take the top 5. You may have 10, but take the top 5. Start there. That what drives your COGS. We'll talk about those. Then you make your choices based on your combination of CapEx investment, your OpEx investment, and it's a combination of technology and shop floor technology, skill level of your workers, etc. And it's a combination that must be automated to develop and optimize the cost that drives your speed and efficiency, and yes, cost. Okay, so as we go forward, let's take an example between the CapEx and OpEx trade-off, because if we took a look, for example, at best-in-class companies, for example, and what they are using to drive and reduce their COGS and increase EBITDA, etc. It's all about automate, tracking, and control your manufacturing operations. Inventory control provides the ability to replace manual systems and sensors based on systems that can scan and report inventory consumption in real time. This provides the ability to have real-time demand signals that will instantly track lead and replenishment times, which subsequently helps optimize inventory level. The byproduct of this is a solution that provides more accurate data, which is required for detailed cost management analysis and supplier oversight. Then you want to take a look at the second big component, your demand and the causal factors that drive the shape and sensing of the demand. You must understand your future demand based on your business. What are the causal factors? The company demand fluctuate due to seasonality factors, economic conditions, climate conditions, and the internal and external conditions and components that drive all those. So a solid forecasting capability combined with customer forecasting and collaboration will help manufacturers better plan inventory and maintain appropriate inventory levels to avoid excess inventory or shortages. So take a look at some of the top 5 companies in manufacturing. We know they're using a comprehensive system because we've identified companies with an average 3-year EBITDA growth rate of 45%. These same manufacturers can reduce their cash-to-cash cycle at an average of almost 20%. While an EBITDA growth rate of 45% is much above the industry norm for best-in-class manufacturers, 20% EBITDA is a percentage of revenue, while developing companies average just over 6%. This shows the correlation between freeing up working capital by improving cash flow to allow for accelerated investment in R&D and EBITDA growth. We conclude that modern future-ready manufacturing companies would benefit from a compressed cash-to-cash cycle to grow EBITDA. So that's when we take a look at the segregation between the top flight companies and the ones who are up and coming and the ones who need to get it going. So how do we set EBITDA targets? You got to leverage some key areas. As I said, there are multiple levels, but every company, it all comes down to cost of goods sold or cost of service, depending on who you are. Because the largest impact on EBITDA is your COGS line items. Inventory, it's the largest cost. Optimizing inventory is typically a low-hanging fruit. You must and want to start there. Top manufacturing companies have a COGS to revenue ratio as low as 47%, the average being about 70%. In order to lower inventory costs and simply reduce inventory without a clear picture of forecast demand will put the company at risk because you won't be able to meet your revenue goals. You will be due to short supply. So the ultimate goal is to balance and optimize your inventory. It must meet demand and it must be accurate. So if you're planning your material, it is easier to determine the proper quantities of raw material components, WIP components, all the way down to your finished goods. So when you must take into account delivery for just in time of your components, the minimum impact of your safety stock will maintain best in class on time delivery. It's easier said than done, but there are tools to be able to do it, and you want to be able to automate those tools. So that's how you want to look at it. There are series of breakdowns of components that drive the EBITDA levels. As you look at this diagram right here, you can see a multitude of opportunities across the board, whether it's in WIP, raw material, or in finished goods area that drives up to the hierarchy control COGS operations and then the flow into EBITDA, as you can see from this picture here. So, but how do best-in-class companies do this? What do they do differently? Take a look at this holistic approach here, where in this table, it shows each inventory category as a percentage of total inventory. Notice that both sustaining best-in-class companies are doing a much better job managing their work in process, inventory, and raw materials as compared to their developing counterpart companies. This is driving the overall reduction in inventory associated with carrying costs that reduces COGS and increases EBITDA. So as you go forward, we're talking about the overall reduction of inventory as it compresses the cash-to-cash cycle times. So going forward, let's talk about a case study that we work with. One company, they're a logistics company, and they have a problem where new product introduction, every time they introduce, they have a traceability issue, making it a problem that complies with their AS 9100 requirements because they're a logistics company. That's a requirement for that kind of company in the industry they serve. In this case, they were an electronic company and they had issues. So the solution was to develop something called the traceability tree that tracks in real time the complete genealogy of all inventory containers, providing both upstream and downstream trace. And we're talking about all the way from the suppliers, the components, all the way to the production, to the customer, to the distribution, through the pipeline, up to the customer, right? So complete traceability tree was a solution, and you must have a comprehensive ERP that's going to drive and capable of delivering this kind of solution automatically. It's a process that we implemented for them to be automated fully in this logistics operation. Because they're electronic manufacturers in the service industry, They required tight integration and many component suppliers. The company used a very comprehensive ERP in Oracle Manufacturing Cloud to manage hundreds of supply, communications, and transactions each day. And when new engineering changes are met and come in to rapidly change, the company was able to react quickly despite huge volume. They handled EDI, released to suppliers right off the shop floor to directly to suppliers and customers, and use a web-based portal to monitor plans and operations in real time. This reduced significantly the tedious task and phone calls and emails that you can imagine factored into inefficiency and manual process that was automated to be able for them to drive this kind of result in a very short, rapid time frame to be able to allow them to meet their audit requirements. So as we go forward with this case study, let's take another look at where we need to go. Because at this point, I think you may have an agreement that EBITDA and components and the levers involved can be a game changer for your operation to drive your revenue into doubling it. And if you can't do it in 90 days, surely you can do it in 12 months. And that's what we look at in terms of applying the principles of how to blueprint your process through this and to accomplish your outcomes. Like I said, I'm having a profit clinic coming up, and I'll tell you more about it. But this is the case study of this logistics company. So let's take a look at what are we talking about here. It's the transformative power of being a future-ready manufacturer. What are the key components? Automate for efficiency, smart automation, repetitive low-value tasks. Manufacturers must free up time for their employees to focus on higher values. You're talking about accelerating factory worker productivity, new working practices for workers to be focusing on high-value tasks. You also want to be able to drive your collective practices in the supply chain, okay? And you also want to have your ecosystem where you have a resiliency to have the intelligence throughout your ecosystem and your partners to drive sustainable innovation. At the end of the day, it all wraps up to smart manufacturing to maximize your factory manufacturing ROI. Now, after all that is said and done, at this point, I think you will agree that we have a full good handle on the brass of what are the components for you to be a smart manufacturer in 2025 and beyond going forward. How do you compete? Be a smart manufacturer. Are you ready? Do you need to know how? Are you able to do it on your own? We'd like to help you. So book a call with us if you think you're there or you're not there, and we can give you a self-assessment where you can evaluate your own self to see where you are as you rank within your industry, your competitors, and see where you stand. And then you can take it to the next step. We can do the evaluation. And this evaluation is a health check from the CEO level to the shop floor, all the way down, and we cover all the areas. Book a call with us. We will walk you through step by step on the 5 keys to drive your EBITDA to become a world-class, future-ready manufacturer. Book a call with us, okay? So we can walk you through, do the self-assessment, and walk you through the top 5 key areas of being a world-class manufacturer and become future-ready. Now, let's talk about Profit Clinic. If you're not able to do this on your own, we would love to work with you. We have a standard process where we drive and work with you one-on-one, or it's in group session. And at a consulting level, this is a $7,500 value direct consultation in this Profit Clinic to work with you directly, one-on-one, to develop your own blueprint and implement that blueprint and cover all the bases for your specific factory. We work with you one-on-one. We work with you directly, and we collectively bring you together to do an assessment and comparison with your peers to understand where you're at and your readiness for being future ready. So upcoming weeks, we will be sending information out on this profit clinic that starts for the first quarter in February, about a month from today, to be able to bring you on board and walk you through a very detailed process blueprint that we're going to develop for you across your manufacturing operations to drive and double your income within the next 9 days to 12 months, and look for the outcome that you have upcoming. I'm Haynel Rose at ER Technologies. So this agenda for the Profit Clinic, you can see we break it up in stages. We consider your gap, we implement the solution, and we optimize and scale for your readiness, all in a 90-day growth roadmap for you to be able to achieve the outcome in 2025 of being a future-ready manufacturer. So I'll leave this open at this point for questions and answers. And by a show of hands, I just want to understand who's available. And any questions, we're open to